Most of Week 3 is in the books, and it started on Thursday night between the Steelers and Browns. The Browns technically won by double digits, but the game was much closer than that all throughout, as they scored a touchdown on the final play of the game. The biggest takeaways I had from that game was, with or without Deshaun Watson, the Browns are going to be a pain in the ass to play. They will play good defensive football, they'll run the football, and they will be physical as hell, and it's never going to be a fun day against them. The Browns should be 3-0, and in the AFC that is critical, but they are a good team. The only thing that worries me or concerns me moving forward from a football perspective is how will Deshaun Watson play when he comes back? That's obviously a long time from now, but that is going to be discussed at length. As for Pittsburgh, Mitch is not the answer, and I don't blame Pittsburgh for starting Mitch because it was a short week, and I don't think it would have been a good situation to start Kenny in a primetime game on the road for his first career start in a short week. So I do expect Pittsburgh to make this announcement fairly soon, but it's clear. 54 points in 3 games with those weapons will not cut it. It's Kenny time. Next up is the Bears-Texans game, and the Bears are 2-1 through 3 games, and I always love these types of comparisons, but the Bears technically have the same record as the Buffalo Bills at the moment. There is a lot to be worried about right now with Chicago though, and more specifically with Justin Fields. He finished Sunday 8 of 17 for 106 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, which obviously is not good. Khalil Herbert led the Bears to victory with a 157-yard, 2-touchdown game, and I do think the Bears will fall off at some point, and it's just a matter of when. They were beating Green Bay pretty handedly, and that is to be expected, but I am going to be focusing on how Justin Fields plays the rest of the season, because right now, I am very concerned with that. As for Houston, in 3 games, they tied Indy, lost to Denver, and lost to Chicago, and that's also to be expected. They are not a very good team, and sure, Houston and head coach Lovie Smith would have liked to have won this one, but at the end of the day, they are not going to win many games this year. Bengals-Jets is now up, and this was very much a get-right game for Joe Burrow and the gang. Joe was sacked just twice, which is a far cry from the first 2 games of the year, but he bounced back today with a 275-yard, 3-touchdown game. There really isn't much to take away from this game from a team perspective, as they did what they were supposed to do. Receiver Jamar Chase is worth monitoring moving forward, as he finished the game with just 6 catches for 29 yards on 10 targets, while T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd each had 90-plus yards, and Boyd was the lone receiver to go for over 100. Quarterback Joe Flacco also came back down to earth in Week 3 after a fantastic Week 2, and that too will naturally happen. I am very eager to see how the Jets will play when Zach Wilson comes back, as it has not been a great year for the 2021 NFL draft class at the quarterback position. A team that went to the Super Bowl last year beat a rebuilding team and a team with a 38-year-old statue of a quarterback. Positive spin for the Jets, Sauce Gardner is a dog. And last but not least, Joe Mixon has been a huge disappointment through the first 3 games of the 2022 season. The NFC South is up as they had a game today between the Panthers and Saints, and while I'm not buying back into the Panthers or think they're going to make some comeback and be a threat, it is good to see them win a game with a lot of rumors swirling around the franchise right now. I very much thought heading into the game the Panthers would lose, and there was a good chance Matt Rule would have been fired as early as tomorrow or Monday the 26th, depending when you are watching this video. Baker Mayfield did not play a good game by any means, nor do I think he is the long-term answer there, but I don't think he is complaining about a win. Jameis Winston did not play a good game, and although he had over 350 yards passing, the Saints have come out very unprepared, not once, not twice, but 3 games now in a row. This is very concerning, as the thought and hope was they turn it around this year, as Jameis was a 5-2 starter in 2021 before tearing his ACL. Also, Chris Olave is going to be a very good receiver for a long, long time. Chiefs-Colts is up, and I'll be the first to say, Indy, congratulations on beating the Chiefs, as that is never an easy accomplishment, especially on an extended week for them, and especially after getting embarrassed in Jacksonville. However, this is a perfect example of why NFL coaches emphasize special teams and why it is so critical to have not even necessarily a good special teams, although that is preferred, just not a monumentally bad special teams. Kansas City today muffed a punt inside the 5, which led to an Indy touchdown. They missed an extra point, missed a field goal, failed on a fake field goal, and had 4 kickoff returns not make it past the 15-yard line. When you parlay all of these into a single game, I can't imagine there's that many that have happened in the history of the NFL to begin with, but you're going to lose a lot of ball games by doing this, no matter who is at quarterback. KC is still very much a deep postseason contender, but they have to clean that up. Jonathan Taylor has also had a very slow start to the year, and they are going to have Matt Ryan beat teams moving forward, or this will continue. Tennessee at Indy next week will be a very interesting game, and one I will be paying close attention to. And speaking of Tennessee, we make the drive from Indy to Nashville to discuss the Raiders-Titans game. The Raiders are 0-3 in the AFC, and I said last week I thought they were done in some ways because I don't think they are going to win 13 of their final 15 games to win the AFC West. This, of course, was before the Titans game was played, and host a playoff game or two as division champions of the AFC West. And I don't think they will win 3 playoff games on the road to go to the Super Bowl, and the point stands. Las Vegas is 0-3, and sure, all 3 losses have been close, but the Raiders did not make the moves they made this offseason to get moral victories. As far as I'm concerned, they're done. Derrick Henry also played better today for the Titans, and so did quarterback Ryan Tannehill, but for the long-term outlook of this team, I am not buying in, and it also does not help that Taylor Lewan, the Pro Bowl left tackle, is done for the year. If Tennessee wins in Indy next week, they have the Commanders after that game, so there is a chance they could be a 3-2 team, but until then, I'm not putting much stock in the Tennessee Titans, other than a congratulations on a hard-earned win on a short week over the Raiders. Eagles, Commanders. I have been going live on TikTok a lot recently and interacting with people on there as much as possible. The link is in the description if you're interested. And the reason I bring that up is I said this week, the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders. Some people agreed, some laughed and said they only beat the Lions and Vikings, but they are dominating teams. Carson Wentz was sacked 9 times on Sunday, and that's what I mean when I say the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders. They dominated the Commanders today, and they did not stand a chance. I will say one thing, though, regarding Washington. They did a great job containing the Eagles' run game and forced Jalen Hurts to beat them through the air, which he more than successfully did. He finished the game with 340 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Devontae Smith had a day. The Commanders are what they are. They're going to beat bad teams, and they are more than likely going to lose to good teams every time they play. To me, they are a 6-7 win team, and they may beat a good team once this year, but 9 out of 10 times they won't. They're in a bad state as a franchise because they have legitimate playmakers, but they're not good enough to hang with the best of the best. Also, Dan, please sell the team. Action Jackson. 325 total yards, 5 total touchdowns. A double-digit road win in Gillette. Not bad for a running back, to quote Lamar himself. The Ravens are for real. They always have been for real, and even last week when they lost to the Dolphins, yes, Tua had a big day, but that wasn't anything they couldn't coach or game plan against to not give those astronomical big plays up time and time again. J.K. Dobbins had a bit of a slow game coming back, and I think that should have been expected because of the injury he had, so I wouldn't worry too much about that if I were a Ravens fan. Is Mark Andrews the best tight end in the NFL is a very valid question at the moment, and he had a huge day with an 8-catch, 89-yard, 2-touchdown performance. The Ravens' run defense historically is good, and they did give up over 140 yards on over 5 yards per carry, and that is also how the Patriots scored all of their touchdowns on Sunday, so something to note moving forward. As for New England, yes, Bill Belichick is a 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach, but the roster they have is not great. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, and I worry about Mac Jones, who, as I record this, according to Ian Rappaport, x-rays on his ankle are negative and will continue to be reevaluated. I'm not a doctor, and whether his recovery is weak or season-ending, I wish him the best, because that did not look pretty. The Lions and Vikings game is up, and boy, what a game that was. The Vikings defense was getting manhandled all throughout, and it reminded me very much of the Eagles-Vikings game from last Monday night. They rebounded and came out with a huge win, and this is very cliche and very unfortunate, but this was a very Lions way to lose the game. Detroit is doing all the little things right, and yes, right now they have a 1-2 record, but they are a damn good 1-2 team and will be a pain in the ass for every team they play this year. I cannot emphasize enough how much of a miracle it was the Vikings walked out of this game with a win, because you can certainly argue in a lot of ways they shouldn't have. Detroit's game plan was to take Justin Jefferson away, and they did that. That's not easy, and I commend them for that. And credit to the other Vikings weapons for stepping up, most notably KJ Osborne and Adam Thielen, and a big shout out to KJ for the game-winning touchdown. Bills-Dolphins was a damn good game, and a huge shout out to the Dolphins for pulling this off. This was the cramps game, as this was a very hot game in Miami, and the weather played a big role on both sides, not just in favor of the Dolphins. Also for Buffalo, this is a game I fear for them. They couldn't get the run game going, consistently at least, and if you look at the raw stats of 23 attempts for 115 yards, yes, that is 5 per carry, but their two longest runs were for 43 and 19 yards, meaning they then had 21 attempts for 53 yards for an average of 2.5 yards per carry. I will say this about the Dolphins now, though. I'm very worried about their game on Thursday against Cincinnati, as they have 3 days rest and just had 80-plus defensive plays. That's an insanely quick turnaround combined with the emotion off of this win, and I do think they will lose on Thursday, but all the credit goes out to them for being a 3-0 team and for beating the big bad Buffalo Bills. Falcons Seahawks is up, and the Seahawks, I'm half joking when I say this, but they may be a 3-win team or even less, and one of their few wins came in Week 1 over Denver. They can't stop anybody, and a 31-year-old Cordero Patterson came into the Hawks' nest, ran for a $141 and a score. They are not good, and they will be competing for the number 1 overall pick. I think the same can be said for Atlanta, except I like a few more of their pieces in A.J. Terrell, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. I've loved watching Drake London over the first few games of his career. Love those young guys, but this was potentially a game for the number 1 overall pick. The Jags and Trevor Lawrence are a good up-and-coming team. Are they Super Bowl contenders this year? No, but I love their future. Trevor looked great on Sunday, and we just need to get some weapons around him. I like the young pieces they have, not just limited to Trevor, more so Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, Tyson Campbell. You get where I'm going. But to win at a consistent level, I do think requires more than they currently have from a personnel standpoint. So great win for Jacksonville, and this is easily the biggest win since the divisional round win against the Steelers back in the 2017 playoffs. Unless Jags fans, you would count the Jets' 2020 win over the Browns, which secured you Trevor Lawrence. And I don't worry about the Chargers long term. Herbert showed flashes today, even as hurt as he was, and they will be fine. Back-to-back games like this, and I will be concerned, meaning, getting their ass beat, not just a loss to Kansas City on Thursday night, but truly getting their ass beat, but the Chargers will be fine. The Rams-Cardinals game went about as I expected, with the Rams coming out on top. Aaron Donald notched his 100th career sack, and the Cardinals did not beat one of the better teams in the NFC. The Rams roster is better than the Cardinals, and it showed. There really isn't much to take away here, aside from the Cardinals putting up 12 points to me is a little underwhelming. And aside from a comeback win in Week 2, both Weeks 1 and 3 for the Cardinals have been exactly that. Underwhelming. They have 21 points or less in 2 of their 3 games, and for the offensive guru they have with Cliff Kingsbury, to me it's unacceptable, and they are 1-2. Packers-Bucks was a good defensive game that finished with a score of 14-12, with the Packers being victorious. Both of these defenses are elite, and both of these defenses are going to keep their teams in the Super Bowl hunt all season long. Tampa has given up 27 points in 3 games, and whether the quarterback is Tom Brady or insert some scrub's name here, there's no reason over the course of a 60-minute game any quarterback, let alone a 7-time champion, can't put up 9 points every single week. Big congratulations to the Packers on the win, but I do think these teams will meet again with much more serious implications than a Week 3 matchup. And that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I now ask you to please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would be very much appreciated and help the channel grow. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.